Hi everyone. We are going to start the last episode of Anyone Python Season 1. So we have started with the 200 students. Right now we have the 23 participants. Thanks so much for your attending and participation during the pandemic. So I didn't expect such a huge interest on Python when I started Anyone Python, but I realized that there are a lot of students and also the even parents. So who are interested in the Python, please keep working on your Python. So with the Carol is just starting and testing of the programming. So there are a lot of things and it's much more fun than you expect. Okay, so anyway, so we are going to start with stretch. Okay, so today the Unji is not available, but the Trinity is here. But unfortunately, Trinity may leave earlier. Right, so before we start, Trinity, can you give just a brief message, say hello or whatever you want, so you can unmute yourself.
Oh, hello everyone. So I might have to leave a little early today at around 4:30, but if you have any questions, you can always ask in the chat.
Thanks so much. So without the help of TA, the Trinity, and the Unji, so I cannot actually manage the Anyone Python. So I really appreciate. And okay, so let's start today's. Oh, before we start, by the way, so I'd like to start with polling. So this is this should be very helpful for the next season, if any. So please respond before we start. Okay. So there are 3 questions. The first one is, do you like the Anyone Python Season 1? So whatever you want, you can answer. Then the second question is, do you want to take the Anyone Python Season 2 if offered? I don't know yet, so if there is any. So in case we offer the season 2, what is the best time? So same as the season 1 or the different time slots. So I will give 30 more seconds. Then I'd like to change my, yes. Okay, the 20 more seconds. So please quickly answer the quick survey for future. Okay, so let me start the poll. So, and pretty much, let me share the quick clip. So first is the half, and including the like it, the 75-80% like it. Thanks so much. And our second question, so I think the 2/3 is absolutely, but including the yes, it's the huge interest. That's true, because that's the reason why you are in the last episode. And if season 2 offer at the same time is I think the 2/3 and recorded video, I think that will be also helpful. A lot of students are watching the recorded video because they are not available at this time. Okay, so stop sharing and let me close the poll and open my iPad. Okay, so far the 5 weeks, we learned about the Python with the Carol. One more time, Carol is not the Python itself. So Carol is the Python programming. So one application to help us to study the Python. So probably if I offer the second season, I'm not going to use the Carol anymore. Instead, we are going to use the Python itself. However, starting learning the Python with a bunch of different the program or the textbook, sometimes it's very hard to understand what is a computer programming and what is the problem solving with the computer. So Carol helped us to understand, to bridge the gap between the computer programming and the different problem solving. So, but you have learned a lot. Such as the computer programming, especially the Python with the Carol, including. So we learned about we start with installing the Python. So Python is a programming. In other words, it's an interpreter. It's a translator. However, sometimes it's not easy to use the Python program and the Python languages. So with the help of PyCharm. So PyCharm is what? So it's the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. It's not Python. It's one of application. It's like the editor. It's the Microsoft Word or something other editor. It's the editor for the Python. So we have used the PyCharm. So we start the first program, the first Carol. So Carol is not Python itself, but it helps us to learn the very basic, the Python, as well as the computer programming, including first we start with the decomposition. So decomposition means the one of the reasons why we are using the computer programming is the computer programming is can solve what? The certain problem, but mostly it's a performance. So we try to speed up. So to solve the certain problem at the time, it's not just a simple 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Not like such a simple problem. Mostly it's the more complicated, complex the problem. So we try to decompose, identify the certain smaller problem. Then we make the what? The function. So we can create the function. Then we don't have to repeat and repeat. As I said, the computer programming and computer and even the developer or such a computer scientist really hate the repeated job or redundant. So to address that, if something the operation are repeated, we can create the function like the move to work that we create during the Carol. So or something turn right. Or instead of turn left, we create the turn right function. So we can create the function with the DEF. And don't forget after the name, always the colon. Colon means it starts the block. So we are going to use the indentation. So full space or one tab. So this is very important in Python programming, different from the other program language. Then, so followed by we learned if statement and also loop. Regarding to the loop, we have learned the two loops. One is the for, another one is while loop. So the main difference between the for loop and while loop is for loop. If we have something, the condition like the 1 through 9 or 1 through 5. If it's the loop is determined, we can use a for. Otherwise, while loop is forever as long as the test function is the true. So that is the main difference between the for loop and while. So if you know how many times what is a loop condition, so you can use the for. Otherwise, if you do not know, but just condition itself, so you can use the while loop. Then we learned about the if. The if is basically the most of the conditional statement in any program language. So if is very, very useful and the mostly used and very important. So Python used if and also elif, as if, and so you can put the more elif, as if, and as. Then just like the definition and also for loop, while loop, it used the colon like this one. So then you can put the conditional statement, the test function here. If the test function is true, so we can run the block, the code the follow here. Otherwise, check the else if, and then the else. So these are the most of the things we learned the last, the 9, the episode. So, but there's one missing, very important, the programming concept. So that is the variable. So today I'd like to introduce you the variable, which is not in the Carol, the website, but this is very useful and very important in the programming language. So even though you don't like, let's go back to the mathematics. So again, so in mathematics, so in math problems, so as I introduced several times, the math is the kind of what? So language for just a moment. The Trinity asked me the link for the this. Okay, so math is the language to solve the problem in the nature. So you have solved a lot of the math problem in your school and the test, something like that. In the math problem, so what is the typical way to solve the math problem in the school? So when I advise or help my kids or my student, so math is kind of a language. So you should understand the translate the math math problem into the equation. So equation is kind of the math language. So to do that, first thing is you need to identify the variable. So for example, the A is Abby is driving, so 10 miles per hour from A to B, and Bob is driving the 30 miles per hour, the east to west. Where the do the Abby and the Bob the meet, something like that. It's the very typical the system. The equation, the problem. So at the time, you need to identify what is the variable, what you are going to find. Then after you identify for example, x and y, so then you can create the equation. So equation is the equal, using the equal operation. So you can define the left-hand side and right-hand side. With the what? The x and y, the variable with the operation. So you can create the equation. Then the next thing is you can solve the problem or evaluate. Then finally you can find what is the x and what is the y. So that is a typical way of solving the math problem. So in computer science, computer programming, so we can borrow the same idea, such a variable. For what? To keep the data and or information. So for example, in the last, I think there is episode 5 or the 6, so we have to solve the problem of in Carol, we can ask the Carol to put the 25 the beeper in the corner. So how can you do that? We can use the for loop, for in the range and 25. So what about the 30 beeper? So we need to change this one into the 30, then run it again. What about the 5? So we need to change 5. So it's not convenient. It's kind of a repeated job. So if we put something variable over here, like the count. So instead of 5, 25, 30, if we can use such a variable, then we don't have to change it every time. So that is the idea of why we need such a variable. So variable is the place where we can put the data. Okay, so we can put the data into the variable. So today we are going to see what is a variable and what types of variable we have and how we can use such a variable. So quickly, we can in mind what we have learned in the binary. So in the binary number system, do you remember the binary? So we talk about what is a binary. Well, why? The binary is very important in computer because computer can understand the only 0 or 1. So then we can use such a binary with the help of the ASCII code. So we can represent what is the A. So A is, for example, the 10110001. So we can use such an 8-bit and 1 byte of data, the binary, to represent the even alphabet. So right. So we can use such the binary data with the help of ASCII. So we can represent the alphabet in the computer system. At that time, so this kind of alphabet in the ASCII code is called the string. So why is it called the string? Because our data is not just one character. So for example, we have the L, E, E. So 3 letters are in a row. So first one has the binary ASCII code, second has the binary ASCII code, and third one has the binary code. So 3, the ASCII code are in a row. So it's a sequence, it's a string. So the string means it's a series of the letter. So first type of the Python variable is the string. In other words, it's a character. Okay, so character include the alphabet and also it has the number, but number is not the value of a number. Instead, it is like the 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 is one is from ASCII code. You can find the ASCII value. So that is the also string. And 2, 3. So to differentiate from the number, we can use the double quotation and the single quotation. Sometimes you can use the single quotation. It doesn't matter. So you can use either double quotation or single quotation. So that is called the string. So string is the variable used in the Python for what? Character or alphabet, or it's a single or double quoted number, but that is not value of a number used in math. Then how can we use such a value of a number? So Python has another data type, which is the number, like this one. So number is the, for example, 1 is a value of 1. So then 2 or 3, such a number, 10, 1010 is a value of a number. At that time, we don't use the single or double quote. It's as it is. So this is a number. There are 2 types of a number in the Python. One is integer. Another one is a float. So integer is a whole number, like the 1, 2, 3. And while the float is the decimal point, like the 1.2. Okay. The reason why we differentiate the integer and float is it will be stored in computer system differently. So that's enough. So don't worry about too much. But so keep in mind, so Python has 2 different numbers. One is the integer, another one is the float. Okay, so integer is the whole number and the float is the decimal point. So basically Python has 3. The data type, one is the string, it's a full character. Another one is the number, So, but the number has the integer and the float. That's pretty much enough. Then this is the Python variable. So then how can we use in the Python programming? So to use such a the variable in Python programming, so we need to give the name. So which is called the variable name. Oops. So variable name. Just like when the newborn baby. So we need to name the newborn baby. So there are the naming rule. So let me give the example. Do you know what is this? Anyone who knows what is this? Anyone? Nobody? So this is the what? Elon Musk is the newborn baby's name. So actually, the Elon Musk made the name, baby's name, his son's name, like this one. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was a decline. So right now there is a new name. It will be used. So just like that, Python has the very simple naming rule. When you create the variable, so naming rule. It's a very simple. So Python, the naming rule is first, you can use the alphabet character. Alphabet or underscore. Underscore means, so if you see your keyboard is the next to the zero. Is it right? Let me check, double check. Yes, next to the zero, you can see the underscore. So underscore with the shift. That is the underscore, not the hyphen. So hyphen is not allowed in Python, alphabet or the underscore. Also number. So you can use only this, the alphabet, underscore, and number. And also when you create the name of the variable, so you can always either alphabet or underscore. Start with mostly alphabet, but sometimes rarely you can see the underscore. Where? Have you ever seen this underscore? The variable name underscore with the underscore. If you check the program, the Carol program, the init, the main, like this. This is a variable name. Okay, so then you can use this naming rule. Okay, then for example, let's see the example of such a name. So for example, you can create the variable like the name. Okay, so name is Lee, like this. Then at this time, this is the name is already okay, and it's a start with the alphabet, and also only the alphabet is used. You can create the name. However, if you create, for example, the name, so this is not allowed. You can not use the variable name. Also, you cannot use for example, the $sign or name as the variable name. But you can use for example, underscore name. So this is allowed. Okay, so you can create any name by following this simple rule. So alphabet and underscore and the number. Okay, Then also one more thing is you cannot use the keyword. Keyword means sometimes it's called a reserved word. Python reserve certain the name. So for example, let me open this one. Then the change. Okay, so this is the Python keyword. So it's a total 35, I think. The first, class, from, or. These are reserved words. So you cannot use this name as a variable. Okay? So you cannot use this. So otherwise you can use like the DELS is fine. However, you cannot create a variable name as the DEL. You don't have to memorize. Okay? If you just the type like for example the variable name and the true, so it will be error. So don't try to memorize. Just keep in mind there are a number of keywords that cannot be used. Okay, so before we start the example, so there are the couple of things you can remind when you are using the variable. One thing is, this is the very interesting. So when you just like what Elon Musk did, the failure to the name his newborn baby. Not like that, so forget about that. So when you create a variable name, there are two cases. One is called the camel case. Another one is the snake case. So for example, when I create any one Python, the variable name. So camel is, what is camel? Camel is the animal in desert, like with a number of horns. And snake is like this. So I'm so bad. So when you create any one Python as a variable name, so for example, the camel case is start with lowercase. For each word, we can use the abbreviation, Python, like this. The snake case is used to separate the word. It uses the underscore. So for example, the any one underscore Python. So when you make the name of the variable, you'd better make the name meaningful name. So at the time, if you have a number of words, so you can use either camel case or the snake case. So snake case use the underscore to separate the word like this. On the other hand, the camel case use the capital letter for the first letter of the word, except the first word, like this. But Python like this one. So many of the Python program like the snake case, but it's totally up to you. It's your preference. Nothing wrong. So, but if you are starting the new program language, so think about either the camel case or the snake case. One last thing before we start today's lesson. The one last thing is it's also case sensitive. Case sensitive. That means so name variable is different from name. Capital letter and the lowercase letter, they are different. So you should be careful. Okay, so let's start today's problem. So this is today's problem. So we'd like to make the cattle run away. So then the cattle will always start in the middle, okay, like this one. So cattle is starting in the middle and always facing to the east. Okay, this is the default position. Then we are going to ask the cattle to run away one of four direction: east, west, south, north. So east, if you want Carol move to east, it will move like this. And north, and this is the west, and this is the south. Okay, then how can we ask to the Carol? At that time, we are going to input, okay? Input either E means east, and W is the west, and the S is the south, and N is north. So you are going to ask the user the input one of these words, E, W, S, N. Then you save this value into variable. Okay, so let's start this. I already emailed the zip file to all of you, and also let me check because I received the message from the Trinity. The link doesn't work. So let me. So meanwhile, why don't you download the zip file? Then the unzip the file under the N01 Python folder. Then the uncompress. So let me. Then this is the link. Okay, then download this file and unzip. So I have unzip, then start. Start the PyCharm. Start the PyCharm open. Always go to the N01 Python folder, desktop, N01 Python, and this is our project folder. Then it's episode 10. Okay. So let's open the Runaway Carol. So we are going to start here. So first we need to create the variable. So to decide the direction, I'm going to use the dir as the variable name. So dir is the variable name. It's okay because it's an alphabet and that makes sense. It's a direction. And how can we get the direction? I think that we already used it one time. There is a Python function to get input from a user. Input, then you can type the prompt like the which direction does Carol the move. So either E or the west, S or N, like this. Okay, so this is the input. So let me explain again. The input is the Python command. Okay, so Python command. Then if you run this one, so you are ready to type. So we will see. So let's run the program first. If you run the program, so you will see this Carol start in the middle, then facing to east, always east, and run the program. Then see this part, so bottom, so you can see the prompt like this. So which direction does Carol move? So you are ready to type. So if you click here, so you can type. So for example, I'd like to go to the east, then capital letter east, E, then enter. Okay, then nothing happened because we do not put any the code yet. So like this. So you can actually ask the input to the user. So using the input command. Then the input value E will be, this is a very important concept. So we can use the equal sign. So in computer programming, equal sign is not the equal operator in math. It's different. Equal means it's a sign. So right value will be assigned to the left variable. So left-hand side is a variable name. And right-hand side is, it can be function. It can be any value like this. So equal sign, whenever you see the equal sign, it's not equality. Instead, it's a sign from right to left. Okay. So then computer, what is the meaning of the equal? Equal is double equal sign. So like this. Double equal means it's the same. Left and right are same or not. Okay. We will see soon. So one equal sign, one equal and double equal sign is different. One equal means it's the left to right value will be assigned to the left variable. So this is the way how to create the variable. So when you create the variable, so you can put the variable name left-hand side. Then right-hand side, you can put the function or the value. Then assign to the variable using one equal sign. Okay, so one equal sign. Then what we're gonna do is next we are going to check. So right now, so for example, if you just type the E, let me give the space, then we can clearly know. Then we know the dir has the value, for example, E. Then we are going to check whether if dir is equal to, at this time, double the equal sign, the north or not. Okay, north. So if you just type the north, which means Carol need to turn left one time, right? So then, as we learned in the if, so turn left. Okay, so if dir is the n, okay, you just type the n. Then if n is saved in the dir, if that is true, so double equal sign means dir is n. Is it the same as the n? If yes, true, then run this. Okay, so single, the equal sign, double equal sign are totally different in computer programming. Once the single equal sign means it's an assignment. Double equal sign is asking whether left and right are the same or not, true or false. Okay, then what else? Else if dir maybe the west, right? So west means it's the opposite direction. So we can do the turn left and turn left one more time, right? So similarly as if dir is equal to south. South means turn left, turn left, turn left, one more time, 3 times. What about the east? East, we don't have to change, right? Why? Because east, so it's the same position, so we don't have to change the position. So then, so this is the code to decide the direction based on the input. Let's run the program whether it works. Run the Carol. See, run. Then we can type the S. And what else? So is that run the program? Then we can put the west like that. But we don't know whether it works. But you can see the carrot is moving that direction. Okay, so it looks like it's working. Then we are going to stop here, then continue. Then next thing is that we need to make the carrot move to the word. This time we are not going to use the function. Instead, just while the front is clear. Until front is clear, we can make the carrot move, right? Looks good. So let's run the program. So run the program. And what about the west, W? Yeah, the carrot is moving to the west. It's a runway. And what about the north? Let's run the program again. Then click here, then type the north. Yes, so please the code up to here, then run your program. Okay, I will give maybe 1 minute is enough to complete up to here. If you are done, please give me the thumbs up, then we can move to another problem. It's not complete code yet, so as you can see, right? So please try to make the program best. For example, what if I type the wrong one? So for example, run the program, and if I type the Q, it's still running to the east because everything else is going to here. So we can make it better. So, but it's not required today, but you can make it better. So let's quickly. So for example, so we can check also the dir is equal to east. In case of east, it's just we don't have to move. So just pass. And elif at the north, west, south. Then finally anything else is the error. So we can exit the program without make the carrot moving. So at this time, so please enter either north, west, south, or the east, like this. So you can change the program, make it better. Okay, but it's not required today's lesson, but if you complete the previous one, please try this. Then see what's going on. Run the program. So if I type for example, east, yes, it works. But if I type the Q, yeah, it's an exit. Please enter either N, capital letter N, capital letter W, capital letter S, or the capital letter E. Okay, so you can make it better. It's perfect. But so please complete up to here. Then it looks like most of the students are done for up to here. So let's move to the second question. Second question is almost the same, but once carrot run away to the word, at that time, the carrot need to put back the beeper as many move as carrot did. So for example, here, where is, yes. So Carol was here, then the move to the word. At this time, how many move? 1, 2 move. So put 2 beeper here. So for example, if we have the another avenue and street here, so then the Carol is moving 1, 2, 3, then put the 3 beeper. So Carol need to put beeper as many as he moves, okay? So then we need to count how many times move, right? So at that time we can use the variable. So let's try. So first we are going to add the variable count. So I'm going to use a CNT instead of count because a lot of programmer likes a simple variable name, but should be meaningful. So CNT is one of the most popular the variable. So CNT is like this. At this time, CNT is the variable, but what type of variable? It's a 0. 0 is whole number, integer. So CNT is an integer variable. So then we assign the 0 value to CNT, okay? So we can create the variable with a value. So CNT right now is a 0, okay? Then we are going to count number of the move. Where is the number of move? So here, move. So we are going to count. How can you count? CNT is CNT plus the 1. It looks like a weird code. CNT is equal to CNT plus 1. Does it make sense? Definitely not in math, but this is not the math operation. As I said, single equality means it's the assign. So first time, if CNT is 0, 0 plus 1 will be assigned to here. Next time, if count is 1, 1 plus 1, 2 is assigned left-hand side. So CNT equal CNT plus 1 doesn't make sense in math. However, in computer, it's really, really used a lot, such a assignment, okay? So we can count number of variable. Then next, after arrive, the move to the word, we can put beeper. How many? We can use the for loop because we know how many. I in the range. This time how many? 2? No, we can put beeper as much as Carol move, that is a CNT. Okay, then put beeper. Looks good. So does it work? Let's run the program. Here, run program. Then which way? This time south. Enter. So as you can see, it's a Carol move 1, 2 times. So Carol put 2 beeper in the southward edges. It's correct. So let's move one more time to the east. Then run the program. East. Then 1, 2, yes, it is running. We need to check the with the different. The word, if you open the Word, always go to the desktop, anyone Python 10 and Word, and I have the 7x7 runaway Carol, and open it. Then run the program. Let's move to the west. Yes, it's running. So as you can see, not clear, but it's a 3. 1, 2, 3 times the move. So Carol put the 3 beeper at the end. Okay. Please go ahead. Do not watch my program. So please type on the pie chart and see what's going on. So I'd like to give the couple of minutes to complete this. Then if you are done, please give me thumbs up. Who will be the first one? Let's see. Oops. Yes, Claire did. Very nice. Everyone did. And Katie also did. Very nice. Okay. So variable will be very important to keep the data and information. So later, when we start the Python programming, we will use a lot of such a variable. The Jeongkyu did. Very nice. A lot of students off the video, so I cannot see. So, but if you are done, please give me the sign on your chat or the thumbs up. Okay, so line 23. Okay, so here. So you can create your variable with the equal sign. Okay. Okay, so that's all I have prepared for season 1 Anyone Python. So we are almost done. Okay, we are all set. So thanks so much for your participation. And I didn't expect such a huge interest when I started Anyone Python, then realized I received over 250. But right now I have 35 online, but I think if you complete all 10 episodes right now, you don't have to try to memorize. It's okay, it's normal. It's the user to forget the last, but you get experience on the programming language, most of them first time. Then, as I said, the one important thing is running the computer programming is different from the other subject because we are using computer. So computer, it looks like the fantastic device and so on, but actually there is not. The computer cannot do by itself. Instead, computer always, no matter what types of computer you have, the computer can do whatever you ask. If you ask the wrong thing, just the computer will do the wrong thing. If you ask a very nice, offensive, beautiful thing, computer will do. Okay, so however, to maximize, to utilize the computer research, think about how computer is doing. Okay, instead of memorizing the syntax or buying the textbook, instead you can think about how computer is accepting my request through the computer programming. Okay, for example, the why computer is using the string instead of character, or the why computer likes the binary number, then how we can speed up or make the good performance. So always it's a kind of the computational thinking, somebody said, but always think about how computer is managing the data, processing data, such a thing. That's much more important than if you get such an idea and experience when you start to learn the real programming, so maybe the Python or any kind of programming, it will be much, much easier. Okay? So that's what I can say for the last the episode. Then I have a quick announcement of the carol competition the next week, the Tuesday. You don't have to, it's not mandatory, but I strongly suggest you guys study over the weekend. Then I'd like to give the 3 problems. One of them is quite easy, and the second is it's still easy, but third one is the challenging problem. So I will give the 3 problems, then at the beginning I will explain. But I do not release the program before the competition starts. So once competition starts, I'm going to share the link like the chatting bot. So as we have done the every class, then you can download and start the coding. At the beginning part, I'm going to explain what is the problem. If you can understand quickly, you can start your program. But if you don't understand clearly, you can listen the explanation. Then within an hour, you are going to solve the 3 problems. Then submit your solution to the given link. Then I'm going to grade all your submission. Then we'll select the top 10, the solution. Then the rank and post on the Anyone Python class. Okay, over. I do not have right now the cash or any price, but it's I think what you learned in this Anyone Python is your reward. Okay, so please over the weekend study, then we are going to meet one more time the next week Tuesday, and for the career competition. Thanks so much for your attending. And I'm going to be here the 5 to 10 minutes. Then you can ask if you have any question. And please stay safe. Okay, that's what I want. And if we have another season, see you next season. Thank you and bye-bye. Thank you. So finally, Chronica opened the hair salon this week. So I got haircut. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting, and thanks so much for your attending, and have a nice weekend as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.